Hello everyone, I am Richard Neal, welcoming you to our Global South Views broadcast on geopolitics which affect us in one way or another. In today's video, we delve into the question, is India trying to be a global north wannabe? Recently, India's foreign policy decisions seem to exhibit characteristics commonly embraced by Western democracies. These democracies are often referred to as the global north or the collective west. They purportedly champion foreign policies based on the core principles of the oft-repeated rules-based order. India is also the largest democracy in the world, the most populous at 1.42 billion in April 2023, which accounts for 1/6 of the world's population. Based on these statistics alone, India is well positioned to be the voice of the global North democracies. India is also very enthusiastic about the Group of 20 G20, which was created and led by the G7. India hosted the 2023 G20 summit in person, and with much enthusiasm and fanfare. During this summit, the African Union was accepted as the G20's 21st member. This enhances India's image at the global stage. However, in contrast, India downplayed the 2023 Shanghai Cooperation Organization SCO summit, which it also chaired, and which was held just a few weeks before the G20 summit. Instead of hosting this SCO summit in person, India held it virtually, to the dismay of the other 7 members. In space technology, India is also a leader. The Indian Space Agency (ISRO) managed to land its Chandrayaan-3 spacecraft on the southern polar region of the Moon, further enhancing India's prowess. However, India's position in the UN General Assembly vis-a-vis the ongoing Israeli-Palestinian conflict is a great disappointment to the global south. Jordan and Arab states had submitted a draft resolution to the UNGA calling for an immediate ceasefire to the ongoing Israel-Palestine conflict to save lives. This resolution was adopted with 121 votes for, 14 against, and 40 for abstentions, including India. Even some European countries like France, Belgium, Spain, Ireland, Norway, Switzerland, Portugal and Luxembourg had joined the Global South to vote for the resolution. Thus, India's abstention vote was exceedingly glaring in its contrast. Within BRICS, which is an inclusive organization dedicated to South-South cooperation, India stood alone as the only dissenting voice regarding its decision to accept many more Global South economies as new members. India's concern was that any additional member would dilute India's power in the expanded BRICS. Even within the Shanghai Cooperation Organization (SCO), India exhibited its lack of interest in the organization. Soon after it was unanimously admitted as its 7th member, the SCO founding members of China, Russia and 4 others had earlier unanimously accepted India's application. India was expected to host the 2023 SCO summit in person, but it downplayed that summit by hosting it virtually. To add insult to injury, as the SCO summit host, India was the only member that refused to endorse China's Belt and Road Initiative (BRI). It has to be noted that China's BRI has the blessings of some 154 out of the 193 member countries of the United Nations. India is again the only exception. India thus became the only major Global South country which did not endorse the BRI, but instead initiated an overt campaign to malign the BRI as China's debt trap. Ironically, the Global South beneficiary countries had to refute India's allegation in defense of China. As expected, India's smear campaign against the BRI was enthusiastically embraced and promoted by the collective West, whose extensive and relentless media campaign often overwhelmed the truth voiced by the Global South beneficiaries. To top it all, when South Africa's BRICS president called an urgent emergency meeting to discuss the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, it was again obvious that India was less than enthusiastic. While all other BRICS countries were represented by their heads of state, India chose to only send its foreign minister. The BRICS summit called for the release of all civilians who are being illegally held captive, as well as a humanitarian truce that would lead to a cessation of hostilities. Chinese President Xi and Russian President Putin called for a ceasefire. Brazilian President Lula da Silva called the war a humanitarian catastrophe. South African President Ramaphosa went further. He described Israel's collective punishment of Palestinian civilians as a war crime. A week earlier, South African referred Israel to the International Criminal Court. Meanwhile, its parliament voted to shut down the Israeli embassy. In contrast, the Indian Prime Minister did not even attend the BRICS Emergency Summit. Based on the above-stated many instances of India exhibiting its disinterest in the affairs of the Global South, it is apparent that India feels and believes that it is more comfortable to be part of the Global North. India is a sovereign country and an undisputed major, thriving democratic country. It is India's sole right to choose whether it wants to play its traditional role as the voice of the Global South and help promote South-South cooperation, or it can pursue its wannabe role as the voice of the collective Western democracies. But should India wishes to continue to be the former, it must be sensitive to the collective will of the Global South. If India expects to lead, it must prove itself as a team player, supporting any programs and projects that benefit the Global South. These include China's BRI, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership RCEP, SCO, BRICS expansion, etc. If India is unable, or worse, unwilling to exhibit understanding for the concerns of the Global South and South-South cooperation, then India should refrain from its claim to be the voice of the Global South, being wooed intensively by the West. India may find greater acceptance as the wannabe voice of the Global North. That is the end of the video. Please press the like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not yet done so. Please help to share this video with your friends. This is Richard Neo thanking you again. Goodbye.